Hi, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be going through my deep freezer and just my regular fridge freezer inside and kind of going through taking stock of what I actually have in my freezers and starting to make a list of exactly what I have, as well as some ideas of meals that I could make with the items that are in my freezer. I want to make sure that I'm trying to rotate through things. It's been a while since I've really done one of these, and starting in July, I'm going to be trying to do a freezer and pantry challenge where I'm going to be really focusing on making meals and eating things that we already have so that we can kind of lower our grocery budget for that month in order to kind of save up for a couple of fun summer trips that we're having. So I figured I would start by doing that today and kind of getting that meal plan and getting those ideas together and organized so that when that month starts, I'll be able just to hit the ground running and won't have to kind of do all this prep work right as I'm trying to do the challenge at the same time. So I'm going to be starting that today, and I just figured I would take you guys along with me. So like I mentioned, here is like my fridge freezer, just my regular freezer that I have in my kitchen, and it's a pull-out drawer, which I actually really like. And I have things, it might not look super organized, but I know where most things are generally, but I also know that there's a few things in here that I probably have forgotten about. So we'll be doing this freezer second. I think I'm going to actually start with my big deep freezer. So let's go take a look at that one. Okay, so over here in my mudroom, like this is the entrance to our garage, and then here is where we keep our deep freezer. We bought this when we moved into this house because I really wanted to have some extra freezer storage and freezer space, and we have really liked having this. This one we just got on sale at Sam's Club. It wasn't that expensive when we got it. I know freezer prices have gone up, but when we got it, it was around $100, I think, maybe $150. So it's not super huge, but it's really works really well for our family of now 4. And you'll see here next to the freezer, I have just this big bag of kind of reusable shopping bags. I've seen that this is a really good way to kind of organize your deep freezers. Right now, as I open it, let's take a look inside. I have lots of random things sitting on top underneath these random things. I have like boxes and baskets that hold a lot of like my like things together, but they're also not the easiest to actually access. So I've seen on YouTube some other people that use like just these cloth reusable shopping bags to put like items in, and then you can just pull the whole bag out when you are trying to get things that you need. So as I'm going through and kind of taking inventory of this stuff, I might try and reorganize a few of my things into these kinds of bags, especially some of my meats. I think I have lots of like smaller packages of them, and I'd like to keep them kind of all together. So let me set you up on the tripod and let's get to inventorying and organizing this freezer. Okay, I think you'll be able to see me okay. I am kind of tall, so hopefully I won't be cutting my head off. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to try and take a lot of this stuff out. And I usually just kind of lay it on the floor. My floors are tile, and so they stay pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm just going to kind of go through, start making piles, and then I'll kind of show you my piles on the floor. And then we'll go into rearranging them and starting to actually take the inventory of stuff. So also, as I'm taking things out, I'm going to try and start to group them so it's a little bit easier when I actually go to put everything and load it back into my freezer. And kind of for the most part, I generally know what I have in here. I might not know exact quantities of what I have, and I generally know where things are, but I do know that things have gotten kind of messy. Earlier in the late spring, kind of early summer, I was actually able to get quite a bit of beef from my uncle who owns a cattle ranch. And so my mom brought down one of the cows that she bought and brought down a few of the packages of meat for me. And she did that while I was on vacation. And so I'm not exactly quite sure all of the different cuts of meat that I have. So that's another reason why I want to be going through this, is so I can actually see what kind of cuts of meat I have and make a note of that so that I can actually incorporate those into my meal plans in the future. Also, if you are planning on doing this, a lot of people suggest wearing like winter gloves when you're going to be in and out. This freezer isn't that big, and it usually doesn't bother my hands too much. But just know, if you have a bigger freezer, that's a tip that I've also seen used, and I've used it a few times as well. but I don't have to go dig through my winter stuff in the middle of summer to find my clothes. Okay, so here's my pile of stuff on the floor. That took me, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. So as you can see, some of it is a little bit organized, but it's nice to kind of have everything out and have things in my piles. I did keep in here, all of this is ground turkey that you saw me buy in my stock up haul in April, and we haven't actually used very much of it. So I don't know if you can kind of see, we have quite a few rolls of it. So instead of just taking those out, I'm just leaving them in there for now. And then these are all, looks like I have 4 single pounds of ground beef. And again, I'm just leaving those there for now, just so I didn't have to take them out and have all of these rolls fall all over the place. But these are things I will probably be transferring into bags, just so that they're a little bit easier to access. And then out in here, I have this one box here that has different kinds of cheese. So if you don't know, frozen cheese freezes really, really well, thaws really well, still melts, still cooks really easily. So it looks like I have kind of 2 of these bigger bags, some individual bags of like mozzarella, and then a bag of Parmesan. I know I also have some cheese in my fridge. So this is just good for me to kind of keep stock of. And then I have 1 of these tortellinis from, it looks like these ones are from Sam's Club. These freeze really well. We can't go through the 2 packages that they come through as a family very quickly. So I always just freeze them and then use them when we need them. These are great for quick, easy meals, and they always cook really well from frozen for me. I haven't had any trouble with them. So this package is this box has like hot dogs and brats, and over the last couple of years, whenever they go on sale, I usually buy them. We take these when we go camping a lot, and so I like just to freeze them, and then we have them on hand when we go camping, and we won't have to buy them at their highest price. It looks like I also have some different kind of brats from, looks like these are the Adele's ones that I got from Costco, the chicken apple sausages. And then we have a couple of packages of bratwurst, and then a couple of things of Costco hot dogs, Nathan's, and then some Hebrew National. So those are all good to know that I have them. And here we have 2 lone chicken breasts. I probably need to use those up because those have been in there for a while. I also have this big, 10-pound bag of chicken breasts from Sam's Club that I bought a few months ago that we haven't even opened. We haven't been eating very much chicken, I guess. And then this whole section is kind of a mess. This is where the meat from my uncle came from. So I need to go through and definitely inventory that. I know I have quite a few packages of ground beef, which are in 1.5-pound packages. And then I know I have quite a few roasts and steak and those kinds of things. So I need to go through and actually write those things down and look through and figure out what exactly I have. Over here, this bin was kind of actually organized at some point. In here is just meals that we've had that then I've gone and frozen. And these are just great for quick lunches or breakfast. So it looks like I have breakfast casserole so that I can easily pull out and we can eat that. These are little mini pasties. The recipe for this is on my channel, so I can link that for you. We're actually going to be eating these for dinner tonight, so I'm just going to pull those out. And then it looks like I have some leftover pizza, homemade pizza that I made, a leftover burrito that I made. What else do we have? Sweet pork. Oh, and then a thing of burgers. So I know I have more burgers over there, so I can probably combine those 2 to have those in a similar place as well. And then next we have a bread pile. I have some homemade breadsticks, so I always just make a double batch, and then I freeze what we don't eat with our meal, just because I figure if I'm making the mess, I might as well make twice the amount, and then I can freeze them. And then it's nice because then I can pull out exactly the number of breadsticks that we need for a meal. So those are there. Down there, that orange bag is a bag of frozen roll dough, and then I think I have some shredded up croissants that you guys saw me do in my last grocery haul. I can link that video as well. I have some extra King's Hawaiian rolls that I split up into smaller packages because Lucy really likes those for little sandwiches. I also like them for pulled pork sliders and things like that, but we can't eat a whole package and they go kind of stale, and so I usually just break them up into quantities that my family uses. I also have a bag of frozen biscuits and a thing of tortillas, and then this last section are kind of like the convenience prepared things. So I have some pot stickers, not very many of those, so we should eat through those pretty quick. I have some meatballs, which you guys saw me buy a couple months ago in my grocery haul, my May grocery haul, I believe. And then I have a thing of chicken nuggets and some chicken tenderloins, and I think I have a bag of taquitos as well. So, oh, and then over there, I have a pile of frozen pizzas. So I'm going to go through and start packaging these back up and kind of putting them back in my freezer, trying to stack it. And you'll see me writing things down on my phone. I've tried doing paper lists before, and usually I'm a paper kind of person. But I'm thinking, I haven't actually done this digitally yet, but I'm thinking this time to go through and actually inventory all of my items. And I think that's going to be a lot easier to keep up with. Especially if I'm like taking out a thing of ground beef, I want to then be able just to automatically update the amount that I still have in my freezer, instead of having to like do it on paper and have to like rewrite my list a bunch of times. So if you see me on my phone, that's what I'm doing, is starting to create my list. So far, I have done my ground turkey and my ground beef. I kind of kept those two things near each other. I did put them in different bags that are different colors, so I can remember that I'm not like trying to remember which blue bag has my beef and which one has my turkey. So I use those things in similar recipes. So I'm just keeping it all together kind of on that shelf where it was before. Now it's just all together, and I wrote down on my phone how much of each kind that I have. So now I think I'm going to start working on my other cuts of meat, because those are things that I'm not going to use as frequently, and so those are probably going to be fine to be down in the very bottom of my freezer. And as long as I have them on my list, then I should be able to refer to that instead of having to like actually dig through my freezer and find the different cut. I know if it's like a unique cut that I don't usually use, I'll be able to just go to the bottom of my freezer and find it there. Okay, so I put all the different kind of steaks in here, as well as some stew meat. These are going to be things that I really don't pull out that often. So this is going to be at the very bottom, and then on top of it, I'm going to put all of the different roasts that I have, because I'm going to access those a lot more often than I'm going to access these. So also as I'm going through, I'm trying to arrange it so that my oldest meat is on the bottom or in the back of like whatever system I'm going through, and my newest is on the top, so that way when I'm pulling things out, I'm pulling my oldest stuff and using that up first. Okay, so here's the freezer right now. You can see down at the very bottom I have my steaks. This bag right here has my roasts. This white bag has my ground turkey, and then underneath that is my different kinds of ground beef. You can see that I'm starting to get a little bit of like vertical space right here. This is usually where I keep my pizzas, and so I'm gonna grab a couple of those and kind of just stick them right along here. Had to pause and go get Isla. She woke up from her nap, so you might be hearing her make cute sounds or be getting into all the stuff that I have down here. Okay, next I'm gonna work on the hot dogs and the burgers. Those are things we eat maybe a couple times a month. But I don't need to be accessing them like every week or every day. So those are fine to be kind of on the bottom, especially if I make things that are easier to pull out on top of them. So I think I'm going to keep my basket that has all the hot dogs in it just because that's easy, something that I'm used to. So I'm going to stick that in. Are you excited about that, Isla? Yeah. So I'm going to put those in, and I'll probably just stick, I just have a couple of packages of hamburgers, so I'm probably just going to stick those on top, since those are all kind of in the same vein of grilling. And they all kind of go together. And again, these are something that I really only take out if I'm particularly making this meal. And I always know the same place that I keep them. So I'm just going to put these back where they go. On top of that tortellini, I'm going to add my basket of cheese, because that's something that I do access pretty frequently. So I like to kind of have it on a higher level. And it's not too heavy, so it won't squash my tortellini anyways, and it's also easy to take out if I do need to get that tortellini for a meal. I haven't put my chicken back. I'm going to kind of keep that over on my meat side. I kind of like to divide my freezer up into like a side of meat and then a side with like my breads, my convenience foods, my prepared foods, those kinds of things. That just makes sense in my head, so that's how I like to do it. Again, get a few more pizzas to put in that like narrow space that I have. Okay, next I'm going to do my convenience foods. This is going to be the place where I should be turning to first for when I'm looking for things that we should be eating up, just because, especially for things like for my lunch and for Lucy's lunches, just because these are things that, you know, might only be a couple of servings, and so they'd be super easy just to reheat quickly for a lunch one day. Okay, now my freezer came with one of these baskets, which has been super nice. Usually what I keep in here are bread products, just so that they don't get squished by other things. So I'm going to stick this in. Yeah, are you going to come help? Oh, okay. So I'm going to stick this in and fill it with some of the bread products that I have. And then I might stick some of the other bread products like around it. I know, you're so chatty. Stick some of the other bread products around it. Just so they're all kind of in the same area. Things like the frozen roll dough, I don't need to protect quite as much because those are frozen solid. So if they get stacked or moved, then they're not usually that big of a deal. Sorry, baby got the tripod. So I'm going to put kind of my convenience foods at the top, because those are things that I reach for like every day or at least multiple times a week. So it's nice not to have to like dig through to the bottom of my freezer to access those things that I get to pretty frequently. So those will just fit kind of right here on the top. Okay, so that was everything in my big freezer, and next we will head to my small freezer. Okay, so it's much later now, and I'm working on my smaller freezer this time. This one has most of like our side things or things for breakfast that we use, and it has lots of randomness in here. So this one is one where things do get more lost, just because I'm not using the things in here quite as often. Some of the things I do, but there's also quite a few sections that don't, and things have just gotten super messed up. So I'm going to go through, kind of reorganize things, and start to take inventory as well of things that I have that we need to start using. Okay, so let me show you kind of up close what these look like. So here in the top drawer, this section over here is kind of my like baking and treat area. So I have my loaf of bread, ice cream treats that we need to finish up, some of my bread baking things, and then I have like butter, shredded coconut, and then an extra thing of yeast back there. Over here on this side, I have lots of veggies in the back. Right here, I have 2 quarts of chicken stock that I need to use up. And then I also have quite a few frozen veggies, some frozen corn, some frozen jalapenos, frozen onions, some peppers, like a seasoning mix, some peas and carrots, and I think there's more corn over there too. Here's that tomato paste. And then as you've seen from my grocery hauls, I have quite a few things of breakfast sausage, so that's definitely something that I can utilize in the next few weeks. And then we have a few hash brown patties. Those can be eaten very quickly. And then we have a big bag of potato tots, some fries, and then some O'Brien like hash brown potatoes over there. So that's all I have in the top drawer. And then down here in the bottom, like I said, this side is all ice and ice blocks. Over here, I have my frozen fruit on top. I have some some shredded chicken for my husband for like his salads for work when he needs that. And then here I also have that extra ham, turkey burgers, more fruit, and then my chicken stock is also down here. More of that for me to use. So Okay, so that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to kind of show you how I went through and kind of cleared out and inventoried my freezers. My next video, I will also show you my pantry and kind of show you what I have a lot of and what I want to focus on using. And in my next video, I'll also go through kind of how I'm going to pull all of these ideas that I have for my freezer and for my pantry and start making a meal plan for kind of the end of June and beginning of July that really utilizes all of the food that I already have on hand. So I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.